meeting. This is just one member's view on the exact nature of the wrong, as described on page 64 of the Big Book, and the solutions contained within. This is not an all-share meeting, though shares there will be, but actually a question and answer meeting with Paul. So we're reading from How It Works, page 69, bottom of the page, the last sentence on that one, last phrase.
What?
Page 69.
Yeah, 69.
Yep. Bottom of the page, all the way at the bottom.
God alone.
Yep, that's the one.
Well, let's just go one up paragraph above, because if you're passing on the inventory process or you're in it, there's a
Okay, so
distinction in the sexual inventory, which is there's a fifth column, which is we're meant to look at the four columns and see what could have we done better, yeah, or different. So in my case, there was a certain things that I did, let's say, or I found myself in, and I noticed that it probably would have been better if I called my sponsor before I did the act instead of calling him after. Yeah. So the fifth column of the inventory is to help us have a new ideal concerning our relations with others. Yeah, pretty much. So and the beauty of recovery, it allows you to follow through on some of these ideals, like maybe, do unto others as you would like to have done unto you. You start actually living that, yeah, because you have a much wider scope of what you take into consideration. Yeah, you can actually take into consideration the other person. I know it sounds strange, but the sphere of influence grows and it includes other people. And you see that, oh yeah, it would be okay for me to do it, but I don't think it would be okay for me to do it concerning them. Yeah? Yeah. So all this stuff is, how can you know what you're going to grow into? You need to know what you're going to grow out of, really. That to me is the knowledge. You find out what you grow into. That's completely different. Yeah. So you just tell the truth of being fucked, basically. And then that lays the premise of perhaps there's a better way. And then you're going to find out what you grow into. There's a lot of indications from people who have been in it longer than us, and yet you're going to have the joy of finding out when your sphere of influence gets enlarged. Yeah, yeah. But I feel the knowledge is really about what you're going to grow out of. Yeah, so that you don't grow as that out of that. Yeah. Because whatever growth that you're going to have as that is going to be stunted. Yeah, we know it. The bondage of self is almost, you can wear a suit in a prison or an office. Yeah, they're both suits, but the bondage could happen in both. Yeah, so the bondage of self is like a restriction or a limitation unbeknownst to the host in a way. Yeah. So your view gets very small. And they had a very cool way of addressing that where I grew up in sobriety, and they would have you write down what you would like in your if in a year of sobriety at the beginning of when you got started to get sober. And then they would read the thing you wrote when you got to the year, and it was amazing how shortchanged you were, and then what actually life gave you. It was amazing to see how small your hope was going through a very small lens. Yes. Yeah. That's the bondage of self, that you have the ability to have like a 74-inch span and you're living as a 48-inch span. Yeah. 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 So it gets uncomfortable. And that's good, because then you notice it's uncomfortable and then you tell the truth about it and you get out of the suit. Yeah. And there's not an infinite amount of suits. There's a few of them that you have to grow out of. Yeah. I don't know which ones are being more paramount in your life than in my life, but you'll find out. Yeah. Maybe you're willing to save your face instead of your ass. Maybe you want to look good. Yeah. More than feel good. Who knows? But you're going to find out in the process. But the beauty of it is you'll have an underlying basis of the habit of being sober. So this shit can go on. Yeah. Yeah. So we grow out of stuff. So the idea of the sex thing with the fifth column is just, there's going to be a formulation of a new ideal about you in regards to others. And then you ask this power to help you live up to it. Yeah. Yeah. And it says up there before we didn't go over it. It talks about if you don't live up to it, are you going to go out? It doesn't say necessarily not so. Yeah. It's based on your motives. If you keep doing the same crime over and over again, maybe. But if you fall back off the path and get up, basically the sobriety will stay the same. Yeah. You'll be physically at least sober. Yeah. So whatever our ideal turns out to be, we must be willing to grow toward it. That's the only requirement. Yeah. And if you know how they used to trick us, well, just ask to be willing to be willing. All right. I guess I'll go with that. I know I'm not willing from my little head sphere, so I'm willing to become willing. Yeah. Yeah. That's all that's necessary. Yeah. We must be willing to make amends where we have done harm. Well, there it is. That's step 9. We get to it. First, we make the list. First, we do the list, then we see the amends, and then we hopefully, map out a plan with a sponsor to how are we going to fulfill those amends. Yeah. And then after that, the ideal we try to live up to that we weren't living from that caused the need to make all these amends. Yeah. So, yeah, yeah. We grow out of the need to making amends by living the ideal. Yeah. So we must be willing to make amends where we have done harm, provided we do not bring about still more harm in so doing. So this isn't a suggestion, it's a necessity. Yeah. Yeah. It uses the word must. So it's not like, oh, well, yeah, maybe, maybe not. No, you have to, because this is what's going to free us from the past. Yeah. Yeah. Is the telling the truth about the past. This is how we outgrow its influence. Yeah. So, in other words, we treat sex as we would any other problem. In meditation or just when you wake up. You don't even have to say in meditation because you're awake, right? When you wake up. That's part of a waking up is the sense that you're awake. So in that awakeness, uh, we ask God what we should do about each specific matter. Yeah. And you know what? You're not going to wake up and ask God to do this because you will have dealt with the specific matters sooner or later. Yeah. And you may not have many specific matters come up anymore because you're living a new ideal. This is the point. Yeah. The right answer will come if we want it. Wow. So this is where I like to put in this statement. What is it you know that you don't want to know? Yeah, I would say this captures the spirit of this. The right answer will come if we want it. So we probably know it, but the head doesn't want it. Yeah. And this is where we start really having these demonstrations of living life successfully because we have the urge to do what the head has told us to do and we don't do it. Yeah. And then when we listen to the head, we did not face life successfully. We ran away from it. We avoided it. We denied it. Yes. We blamed others. That's not successful living. That may be called survival, but we're maybe at past the point of surviving every day. We could live in a different way. So the right answer will come if we want it. Yeah. Mm. How do you know you want it or not? Well, it's going to be the demonstrations of your life. Hey, do you mind if I share something? These are living memories and it just came up. So I was newly in new sobriety. Yes, most of my direction was still facing at the problem. Yeah, I was a, that was mostly it. I had not changed. I had not turned around to the sunlight of the spirit. I was seeing different shadows. Yeah, and yeah. So I needed a car. These people had a car. I asked them if and they were in the program. And of course, I was still taking advantage of situations. So they said, yeah. I said, well, let me check it out. So I took it. I took it for a drive, like a 2 hour drive to go to a town called Santa Cruz from San Francisco. I took a lot of license, yeah, liberty that I didn't ask for. So there I was, and it was time to go back. And I was going up this, there's a very heavy mountain that you go over going back to San Fran from Santa Cruz. It can be treacherous. Well, I was on that road and the car hydroplaned. Yeah. It lost. It started turning. And the funny thing is time slowed down to like a tortoise rate. I was like fiddling my thumbs, waiting to hit the guardrail. I did it because it was going so slow. But then I hit the back of the car, hit the guardrail, and I was facing at the traffic, and the lights were out. So fucking, I got the lights on, and then someone pulled over, and then other people started almost hitting things and scraping like the guardrail. It was sort of wild. And then I got the car, and I had got it started, and my feeling was to take off. Yeah, just drive, get out of there. But I had seen things that happened with other cars. Yeah, not crashes, but little this or that. Yes. So the pull to split was really strong, but the bigger pull was recovery. And I said, fuck it. And I pulled over to the rest stop because I was going to try to drive a couple of exits away, take off and hide like in a garage or something for a few hours and then drive home. I was. And I didn't. I pulled over and then the cops came and my head was thinking, this is going to be front page news and all this shit. And I sat there. The cops came, the fire truck came, all these cars that had fucking hit the guardrail pulled over. And it looked like I was the cause of everything. And I really wanted to run. And I didn't. And then the cops came and everything. And it was just like the orchestra was building up to the huge crescendo, me going to jail or something. And then the cops asked everyone, hey, does anyone want to do anything? They said no. They took off. He looked under my car to see if it was thing. He says, what are you going to do? I said, it's drivable. I took off. The crescendo, the gong never got hit. I mean, the whole thing that I had never waited for because I believed what my head told me, it's going to be a giant catastrophe, was fucking muted. It just muted. It was mind boggling. And what was cool is I had a little voice recorder and I recorded it before the head could give it the fucking disinformation the next day. I recorded, what the fuck? Yeah, it was like an incredible demonstration of facing life successfully, which I hadn't done in years. So this is what I'm saying. This is when you want it. Yeah. You may come to that point where it looks like the only way is the only way. There isn't a better way. That head is going to close every door and just, you got to do this. But if you have a little bit of willingness, that can be broken. Yeah. That back can be broken. And it took a few more demonstrations where I was convinced that I could face life successfully, finally. by facing it, not running away, not doing nothing, but facing it. Yeah, it was incredible. So God alone can judge our sex situation. And remember, there's something playing God in your head that has definitely judged your sex situation. Yes, quite over and over and over again. So, yeah, God alone can judge, but that which is playing God isn't the God alone. Yeah. That which is playing God ain't what they imply as God. Yeah. And it has definitely gone over and over the sex situation or the lack of sex situation for many of us. So God alone can judge our situation. Counsel with persons is often desirable. Yeah, a sponsor, someone you can trust. Yeah. Really, the great thing isn't to talk about the situation, but to talk about how the head is talking about the situation. I find that to be very helpful because you think you're uniquely coming up with new ideas, and the other person will chuckle quite a lot because they've had the same ideas. Yeah. Because we're sharing the same infected headspace with alcoholism. Yeah. So you think like I think, therefore they're not our thoughts. I mean, it's obvious. So, but we let God be the final judge, not that which is playing God, but something greater than that which is playing God. Yeah. Let that be the judge. We realize that some people are as fanatical about sex as others are loose. We avoid hysterical thinking or advice. Suppose we fall short of the chosen ideal and stumble. Does this mean we are going to get drunk? Some people tell us so. Yes, you can hear it in the room. Yeah, rooms, you can. Some people will tell you so, but this is only a half truth. It depends on us and on our motives. Yes? If your motives is to continue doing what you used to do when you were out there drinking in the community of sobriety, you may fucking drink. Yes. If you prey on people or you're a master practitioner of the 13th step, whatever, if you want to call it. Yeah. Well, if you continue that behavior, yeah, it probably will lead to a drink. Yeah. But of course, many of us are going to stumble and fall. Yeah. But we have the ability and the willingness to get up will be picked up. Yeah. And what seems to be a shaky basis will be sound over time. You'll be in the habit of being sober. Yes. You won't even, you won't even uh, pick up like a tremor of 4.4. And you're not going to have the giant earthquake of 8.9 basically any day. Yeah. Yeah. So, but this is if we are sorry for what we have done and have the honest desire to let God take us to better things, we believe we will be forgiven. Isn't this a nice attitude about the spirit of recovery? It doesn't say it this way. It doesn't say we are sorry for what we've done and then we start doing better things. No, it says God will take us to better things. Yeah. So admit your faults, and then this spirit will take you in a different direction. You're not taking the direction. Yeah. You're willing. Yeah. And then that willingness allows you and I to be taken in that direction. I think that's the spirit of surrender and of reliance on a higher power. It's not a self-help managing. Yeah. So Uh, we believe we will be forgiven and will have learned our lesson. If we are not sorry and our conduct continues to harm others, we are quite sure to drink, like we just said. Yes? So it's not the circumstances, it's the subjectiveness of the circumstances. Yeah? Yeah. We are not theorizing. These are facts out of our experience. So they observed that people who kept doing the same old shit would go back out. To sum up about sex, we earnestly pray for the right ideal, for guidance in each questionable situation, for sanity, and for the strength to do the right thing. Yeah. If sex is very troublesome, of course, we throw ourselves the harder into helping others. Yes. Every one of us has heard that counsel when he got in, because obviously sex and intimate relations have a profound influence and meaning. So they would always point to the idea of doing service. Yes. Yeah. Hmm. We think of their needs and work for them. This takes us out of ourselves. Yeah. What's the dilemma concerning sex is when you're in self. Yeah. Do service, it takes you out of the self, and then you get a different vision or a different view. This takes us out of ourselves. It quiets the imperious urge when to yield would mean heartache. If we have been thorough about our personal inventory, we have written down a lot. We have listed and analyzed our resentments. We have begun to comprehend their futility and their fatality. We have commenced to see their terrible destructiveness. We have begun to learn tolerance, patience, and goodwill toward all men, even our enemies, for we look on them as sick people. We have listed the people we have hurt by our conduct and are willing to straighten out the past if we can. Now, I would throw in, we're just trying to point out that resentments are manifestations of self in our lives. They're not ours. Yeah. And I think that idea, if you carry it through with you, through the process, you'll come out traveling lighter. That's all. In this book, we read again and again that faith did for us what we could not do for ourselves on both levels. Yeah. The faith in the lower power had a lot of shit that we would never have done by ourselves done through us. And then the faith in the higher power has a lot of shit that we couldn't do is done by the higher power for us. Yeah, it's not just one side, it's both sides. There was faith in the lower power that compelled us, and was the faith was that which was used to drive us to do shit we would never have done. Let's be honest on that a level. Yes. This idea of taking all the blame and giving all the credit is way imbalanced. Yes. Yeah, it's imbalanced. Let's give the blame to something that's not us, and then giving the credit to something that is not us will be sort of balanced. It'll be appropriate in a way. But that give all credit and yet all take all blame is just way off, I feel. Yeah. To take all blame for what happened while you were under the influence and now try to live of giving all credit to something else is way imbalanced. Yes. You're walking around as the doer of shit you were compelled to do while under the influence. And some people have been not only walking around, they've been harboring it, they've been feeding it, they've been used almost like an incubator for resentments to turn into grievance and to have a mass view of it like that. This is like us being used to grow like the manifestations or the trait of alcoholism. Yeah. Instead of having been used by the higher power to grow other states like empathy and service. Yes. Yeah. I mean, we're just something things grow in. Yeah. What's going to grow is based on the faith. Yeah. And if the faith is in the lower power, and I believe there still is a lot of faith in the lower power that has us taking responsibility for what it compelled us to do, then the faith in the higher power can't take us as far as it would like, because it's now bound by this mistaken idea of being the doer of all the shit that you were driven to do. I just don't see how, yeah. So in this book, again, you read again and again that faith did for us what we could not do for ourselves on both levels, before recovery and after recovery. Yeah, yeah. Like always. Always, faith has been doing what we could not do for ourselves. We hope you are convinced now, let's call it a higher power, that a higher power can remove whatever self-will has blocked you off from him. Do you believe when self-will is removed, something of you is removed? No. Yeah. Maybe you had a tumor for a long, long time, and you just assumed it was part of you, so you fit your life around the tumor by getting clothes to fit the tumor and shit like that, and meeting other people with tumors and all this and all that. And then a novel idea gets thrown on your head, which is, hey, you're not the tumor. You could have the tumor removed without losing any part of you. Yeah. Oh, that sounds good. But wait a minute. I've got invested a lot of money in tailoring shirts and jackets and shit like that. And my girlfriend has a tumor. And I think we meet because we're both tumored and shit like that. But there is a solution, which is the tumor can be removed. Yeah. And so here it's saying, we hope you are convinced now that God or this higher power can remove whatever self-will has blocked you off from him. If you have already made a decision and an inventory of your grosser handicaps, you have made a good beginning. That being so, you have swallowed and digested some big chunks of truth about yourself and about what has defeated you, I would hope. And what has defeated you is foreign to you. I hope you have digested and are still digesting that bit of truth. I hope. So that's the end of the how it works. Fantastic. Now, do I believe Bill W. believed that self was a foreign entity? I think in moments, yes. And in moments, no. If you read the book, it's super clear, one sentence, and then in a paragraph or a second, you're back to being the source of all your misery. Yeah. So I don't believe there was a solid stationary thing called Bill W. Stuff was coming through Bill W. as it comes through us from this power, sort of like downloads. And sometimes some of those downloads were very, very, to me, super clear, that are sprinkled in the book. And then the old habit of owning everything that ever happened, because we have to be the doer of it all, still stubbornly becomes the main theme of the book. Yes. But I like to see the little miraculous downloads. And those are the ones that change the whole experience of sobriety for me. Yeah. And I truly believe, knowing it or not, they describe the exact nature of the wrong as self, and that self is foreign to us. And therefore, we have been and are defeated by self's manifestations in our life. The manifestations in our life may not be ours, yes? They may be a foreign nature called self. Now, to me, that sentence is super clear on page 64. And that's what I base everything on. That bell rang for me by reading that statement on page 64. And then it's kept ringing ever since for all these years in sobriety. Yeah. And all we're humbly doing is adding on to what was already freely given, because it says in A Vision for Us, this power is constantly revealing stuff to us. Well, I feel it's constantly revealing stuff to us. And I believe If you just looked at it with these pair of glasses, you would recognize something did through you that you were not the one who was doing it. Yes? That you were taken over, just like you would love to be taken over by the higher power now, you were already taken over by a lower power then. I just feel like it's time to have a fucking standardized day of reckoning about it. Yeah, yeah, really. So, I mean, a lot of people, they're sober today, but they're not free from the past. Yeah. They're sober today, but they're not free from the past. They're held guilty. And in some form or another, I felt I was living out sentences when I got sober for all my past transgressions. So it made sense why I was trying to avoid it at all costs. Because when I got sober, I was convicted of a lot of fucking things. And I was living out a mental sentencing. And it wasn't that joyous at times. Yeah. But it led me to realize that that I had been used for transportation and something had expressed its traits and its manifestations in life through mine and had hidden them by the act of being identified as the parasite, forgetting that I'm the host. Yeah. And if the host forgets it's the host, the only way it can entertain freedom is as the parasite. And this is the dilemma of self can't get out of self. So somebody wants to get in, so I'm letting them in. Yeah. I don't know if yeah. Yeah, all right. So share whatever. I mean, I
No
would
hands
love
forward.
it, if we had a new answer every day. I really, you get a Tuesday answer, then you get a new answer on Thursday, and then you get another new answer on the next Tuesday. But no, this is, yeah. I've been open to see it differently. I haven't seen it differently. Yeah, and no one out there has convinced me otherwise. I've heard it. I've heard enough shares. Uh, I had someone come here who had a lot of time and he was getting into the semantics. I knew we shouldn't go there. So I looked at Amelia, but he was hell bent on going there. I said, all right. So somehow self and us is the same thing. So self is singular and us is the collectiveness of self. And I was going, I don't I grew up with English. That's not what it means. Self in the same sentence as and then us are two different things. So and then I just said, let's forget it and pass me the peas. Yeah. So it was, I just don't see it. Yeah. Being convinced self manifested in various ways is what has defeated us. I don't, there seems to be a giant chasm between self and us. Yeah. And when that chasm is shrunk and self is seen as us, we are open to a huge defeat. Yeah. That's how I feel about it. Yeah. So. You'd like to have some space between us and self. Yes. Yeah. That's the whole point of losing interest in self. You don't see if you have if your head has a saran wrap around it, yeah, that's sitting right on the eye, you would see everything through the saran wrap and you would not see the saran wrap. Yeah. You would need someone to touch you on the shoulder and say, hey, I think there's like 6 layers of saran wrap around your head. And then when you finally notice that, then maybe you would see how you were looking. Your vision had been compromised and actually mutated and interpreted through the saran wrap. And then knowing it's not your eyes, you would have the possibility of that saran wrap being removed. Yes? So you would see anew. This is what this is like. The identification as self is like a wrapping that you're not seeing. Yeah. And therefore you're looking through it or you're looking from it. And it takes one of us to tell the others of us, hey, check out the face, you know? When you try to touch your eye, do you touch your eye or is there this very weird plasticky fucking feeling on it? Yeah. Why is it that when you do service, you feel like you're out of something that you seem to have been perpetually in? So if that you which was you in, yes, can be out of, you've made a mistake. That which you're in isn't what you are. You are something that can be in it and can be out of it. Yeah. Yeah. But if the in is your nature, then all you can do is try to get out, which is what a life run on self is, isn't it? Trying to get out of what you're not actually in. Yeah. I found the solution is you're not in. I did not find the solution of constantly trying to get out. That to me is the bigger problem. The solution came from realizing I'm not in. Yeah. So therefore, I'm not trying to get established as self out of self. I'm trying to realize there's a spiritual establishment already that is not in self. Yeah, that to me is the grounded solution. I'm not trying to master and become a self master of getting out of self. I believe I'm not that which keeps trying to get out of something. And therefore, I'm in something else, not trying to get out of something I'm not in. I'm in something else. Let's call it spirit. Yeah. And that's the difference in my day. I'm not trying another strategy of how to get out and not that, but stay out. I'm starting from I'm not in. Yeah. And this is to me the easiest form of maintenance. Yeah. You are the solution. Yeah. Yeah. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. So a lot of times you go through something and it's just a different way of getting out. Yeah. But basically, most of the strategies is to get out of truly what you're not in. Yeah. That's the biggest in. So self can't get out of self. Does that mean we can't get out of self? No, it doesn't. We're inherently out of self. Yeah. We've made a mistake that we seemingly went in self that we lost our nature and we took self's nature. Yeah. We went up at the ass of self where we became self. Yeah. Yeah. And now we're trapped with the self, can't get out of self. But that hasn't changed the fact that you're not in it and you never will be in it and you never were in it. Yeah. You were under it. You were something being imposed by it, but you have truly never been it. Yeah. Because you're something already and it ain't self. Yeah. Yeah. That to me is the spiritual solution and the nature of the awakening. You wake up from the idea that you're a self and you find out that you're what? I don't know, spirit, faith, whatever. Who knows how it's going to appear in you? Yeah? Yeah. Haven't we lost our nature and we took a mental nature as ours? Yes? we basically gave up on life and we've been listening to an interpretation of life from the head. Yes? There's tons of examples. You go to work, you're there every second of the day. Yeah. You get home, and at 8 o'clock at night, the head tells you you had a bad day. Not actually being there, you fall for it. All right. And then it tells you who you should resent. And, they looked at you this way and that. And now you're just wrapped around by an interpretation based on your lack of being there. Your lack of being available as you are gives the possibility of something making you up. Yeah. And then you end up in recovery and you are trying to save your face instead of your fucking ass, and you're losing your ass. Yeah. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. All right.
There's no hands up so far. If you have a question, feel free to raise your hand. Kathleen, hey.
I just needed to say out loud how much I appreciate going through the book with you, Paul. It is amazing for me, just going through page by page, even especially when you read it and then yeah, it's thank you. Let's keep going into action.
I knew you sucker punching me for the next one.
Oh no, we don't have to, but I do really
I don't
appreciate
mind being trained by Kathleen. It's
I
okay.
have very much
I have
appreciated
submitted myself.
it.
Yeah, it's done lovingly. So yes, we will read into action also. It's based on you guys, really. It has a lot of see, we're not trying to change anything in it. We're just bringing a different view to it. Yeah. And hopefully for some of us it will work. And for others things are working. Yes. But this isn't about the only show in town, but some people like different shows. Yeah. And hopefully one of the things that hit me when I was out there, I had about 10 years or so of recovery, and we were doing workshops in different places. And I was meeting a lot of people who were about 10 or 12 years, and they ran into something that they didn't feel they needed, something that they weren't finding in recovery. Yes. So then they start going to churches or stuff like that. I'd like to, whatever that thing is, I'd rather have that brought into recovery. Yes. Because the head would love you to leave recovery for a more nobler path and then get you drunk. I've seen it many times. So let's broaden the umbrella of our life of recovery to allow some outside ideas into the system that we're in. Yes? Yes. We don't want it to petrify with fundamentalism or, yeah, especially fundamentalism with no spirit in it. Yeah. Yeah. So, all right. We got Leah. Oh, Leah. I met Leah. She was horizontal, and now she's vertical.
Hey, Paul. And hi, Nikki. And hi, Mike. Um, Paul, I always loved your example of um, like an ant under the magnifying glass,
Yeah.
and that, how our spiritual practices or over identification with self just kind of like magnifies and like fries that thing. And that's obviously not the idea. We're not trying to like fry an ant, but like the more we scrutinize and analyze, we're kind of making things worse. And also your example of taking the probiotics. And it's like thousands of dollars, and like it was actually making the problem worse. So a lot of that, like stepping in then and letting higher power take over. And then like when my manifestations inevitably come up, the invitation is like hungry, angry, lonely, tired, pray about it, do service and move on from it. And it's just, this message has set me free in ways that I just were so unexpected. And yeah, just saying thanks.
Well, great, Leah. It's very nice to see you. Yes. Well, this is the point. Yeah. People brought a lot of beautiful things to me, and hopefully we can bring beautiful things to others. Yes. Yeah. I had great people like Cy P and these other folks in the community that just blew my mind when I was young in the program. This guy Frank Brennan, he was amazing. He knew he would remember something with every newcomer, so it would make you feel he would make you feel that you were included, yeah, when you felt you were your head had you as a completely outside of everything. So there's so much magic has worked through so many people. So yeah, yeah. So great to see you, Leah. Yeah, you were there at the first Zooms. That's awesome. Yeah. Anyone else?
Kurt had his hand up earlier. I don't know if you want to come in.
Come on in, Kurt.
Hey, Paul, thanks for the format. You know, I heard this the other day, and the conversation reminded me of this. It says, when you forget who you are and become who you're seeking, look out. And I thought about that when you were talking about when you forget who you are and become who you're seeking, look out. You're in trouble.
We'll just start with the first part. Just forget who you are.
Yeah.
And remember that which will come and say something can't forget who it is. Just saying something is the act of remembering. What? Yeah, yeah. The whole thing pivots on loss of interest in self. Page 63.
Yeah.
Oh, the quality of the expression of the solution in your life, it's all based on loss of interest in self. And self cannot lose interest in self. That's interest in self. So get clear that there's a mental parasite that's sucking the life out of you. Whatever life is, the recovery life, the addictive life, it's still sucking. That's what it does. Yeah. Before it took like a pint every 10 minutes. Now it's maybe a couple of drops every 10 minutes. It's still sucking the blood out of us. That's you can call it a friend. It's happy to be that. Service animal, happy to be that. Master, happy to be that. It's just sucking, sucking, sucking.
That's what's so great about you keep it on point with that part in the book where it says being convinced that self manifested in various ways of what defeated us. Like that's so great that we don't move off that, as far as like the format that you.
Yes, because
Yeah, I know.
it loves movement around other topics. It loves to get involved with the commas and how many periods and how many italicized stuff to to uh, to distract us from the real point at hand, which is recognize that the exact nature of the wrong is foreign to us. Yes, just get that freaking clear. And then the thoughts that have had so much influence over you with this smell of my before it, you'll start seeing them without the my, and you'll see they're alcoholic thoughts. They're when a certain system is infected with something, the thoughts are infected in that system. We are hatching the head that we're hearing and listening to is hatching mutated thoughts. Yeah. They have the my is almost like an arthritic injection into the thought where the thought gets oversized. Yes. On and on. And so what were pebbles are boulders. So all day we're fucking boulders are coming. Yes. And then we're trying to travel lighter, yet we're the owner of the thoughts. Yeah. So you're already in a compromised relation, and now you're wishing I could travel lighter through these heavy boulders when you're the fucking one that's initiating the boulder. Yes, you're being used to make that pebble seem like a boulder. That's why. And it's the faith that we are that can, it says you can, you can move a mountain. Well, you can make a mountain out of a molehill with faith. Yeah. And the head does that all day. It takes a problem and makes it a very unique your problem, which is not like any other problem ever. And it is. It's just a run-of-the-mill problem many people run into, but no, now it's yours, and every motherfucker you know has to hear about your problem. Yeah. Over and over again. So this is a subjective experience. Part of what gets altered and changed is size. Yeah. Size and proportion. Remember in the book, in AA, it says this is a disease of perception. So our perceptions get warped. Yeah. We see we see little things as big things, and big things we try to make little things. Yes. It's like being in a dream, fighting through the dream, and you're the dream maker. Yeah. Yeah. And then you realize you're not the dream maker, and you could be relieved of that dream. Yes. But the head tells you, oh, this sucks to be in this. And then it tells you how to get out of it. And it's self in and self out. Yeah. That's the bondage. It bonds you to the indoor and the outdoor. Yeah. So I've seen it, I've seen it. I lived, you know, uh, I did a lot of 10-day cocaine retreats, a lot of them, where I was up, straight up for days, tripping my gonads off and just getting pounded by the head, like pounded, pounded, and pounded. And I survived. I lived through it to share because this head is always going to overplay its hand. It just can't help itself. Yeah. It can't contain its greed, so it gets overly greedy. It can't contain its vindictiveness, so it gets over revengeful. It will. Yeah, it's gonna and if you have a right understanding, you'll catch it. You'll catch it out in the open, and you'll have an event of seeing the emperor with no clothes. You will. Yeah. And I hope it will smack of foreignness. And you will start realizing that which is in is not of the in. So if you believe you're in self, but you're not of self, you can be out of self. Yes. Being in doesn't mean you're the of. It doesn't. This is what the head convinces us of. It has us in this idea of self, and it has us of the idea of self. See? And that's the real bondage of the inness is you think you're of it. Yeah, it's you. It's not you. It is not you. It's using you to fuel this freaking idea. Yeah. You could be listening to a completely different tune than this one golden oldie that's playing over and over again. Will it stop playing? No, but you'll lose interest in it and you'll be able to hear other songs. Yes. And there is a great song in a book called The Course in Miracles, which is, I need do nothing. Yes. I am that which I so sorely seek. What? Yes, that's the meaning later on. That's the non-duality message in recovery. You are actually what you're looking for. You are not what you're looking from. And most of us are looking from self. Yes. And when we look from self, part of it is that you think you're self looking from self. No, you're you looking from self. And you can be free from self. Self cannot be free from self, but you can be free from self. Let's get clear what is you and what is self. You may be looking through self, but this does not mean you are self. Yeah? Yes. There's a distinction. Right now, it's muddied. You want it to become clearly defined, and it will if you follow this simple understanding that the exact nature of the wrong is foreign to you. That is true, and life will verify it. Yeah, you don't have to chant it, you don't have to memorize it. It will verify it. It's an idea that goes a long, long, long way. Yeah, it's got a lot of oomph in it, seriously. Yeah. And then go about whatever. You have a way of life. You know how to deal with the things that happen on the surface. I make amends. I can do this. I can do that. Yes. I realize that a lot of stuff during the day. Yes. Yeah. But one thing is clear, that which is yapping is not me. And what I'm in, I am not of. Therefore, I can be out. Yes. When I'm in, oh, I'm in self. Yeah. Yeah. I can be out of self. Yes. And most of the time, I'm out of self. Truly. Yeah. Now, what is in and out of self, I have no idea. That's just what we are, being. I have no idea, and I don't have care because I know my little pea brain cannot imagine what I am. It can imagine what I'm not all day. It can't. It can't capture it. So I know its pay scale. It's above that pay scale. And just all I need to know is what I'm not. And I'm not self. Yes? Yeah. But if I was in self all day, that definitely means I'm of self. No, it doesn't. It doesn't mean shit. It doesn't mean what it wants you to think it means. You can be up the ass of self. You are not the sphincter muscle of that ass. You can be out. What you're in, you can be out. Yeah. It's like a glove. You put the hand in, you put the hand out. You can put your hand in thousands of different gloves, but the hand is always the same. You are not a glove. Yeah. You find yourself in a lot of gloves every day, but you're not a glove. Yeah. I don't know how to get it across. I mean, yeah. It's just a simple feeling of emphasis changes. That's all it does. You hear something, it seems novel and sort of makes a lot of sense, and then something happens, and then the emphasis that's always on self loses interest, and then what you are gets emphasized for once in a moment. What you are gets emphasized. Yeah. And then I think you're on the winning side from that point on. Yeah. So when you're in self, you're not of self. Yeah. Yeah. I'm in a lot of thoughts. That doesn't make you the thinker. It doesn't. Yeah. I feel terrible. That doesn't make you a terrible feeler. Yeah. We're going in and out of tons of experiences all day. We are, aren't we? Yes. I walked this morning. I had less of an experience of my knee hurting than the day before. So the experience was nicer. Then when the ball that I threw really far away wasn't gotten by the dog, I didn't have the same feeling that I had yesterday when I didn't want to walk. I walked and got the ball. Yes. So the condition affected the experience. Yes. These surface conditions. So your experiences are going like that all day. But you are something of something else. You are not just an experience. There is a lastingness in you that allows you to see the coming and going of everything else. Yeah. There's a spirit that didn't come and didn't go, that isn't based on experience. It's untouched by the changes of the surface. You have a a pipeline directly attached to that, it could influence your day greatly. Yeah. Yeah. Instead of self trying to get out of self all day. Yeah. All right. Thanks for that. And anyone else?
Yes, Link's iPhone.
I know Ling, and all right, come on in, Ling. My old friend Christian. I've always wanted him to
Still
be.
working?
What?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes.
Sorry for swearing on your Zoom.
I didn't hear you. Swear.
Oh, sorry for swearing on your Zoom.
We had you muted.
Am I muted still? Shoot.
Oh, I'm giving you a moment. Don't blow it. Yeah. Of unmuteness.
How am I doing now?
You're on probation, but go ahead. Yeah. Let's go.
Okay, great. Hey, I just wanted to get your attention. It's been a while. And I really appreciate where you started today because I was thinking about when you had me write in the corner of my big book what I wanted the most from AA. And it was what I wrote is to shut up the voices in my head, which has largely happened.
Yes.
And so I wanted to point that out. I still write that in every big book I get and ask that of anybody I sponsor to do that too. Well, what I wanted to, I want to go back to the sex inventory.
Yes.
I don't know. It seems like that's inviting thought into the matter because I feel like a lot of my relationships I've been captured and then kind of stuck in these gluey relationships that have gone on way too long. And then when I get out of them, I'm like, whoa, what a relief I'm out of that. Then I, fall in again. But that writing out and actually writing an ideal has been very helpful. So,
Yes. Yeah. Some things, there are behavioral patterns in everyone's lives, and some are more grooved than others. Yeah.
mhm.
So it has a life of doing the same thing over and over again, but it diminishes in velocity usually. Yeah. Yeah. See, we
I
had
would
shared
agree.
the other day about the sex inventory for me. One of the big things that showed right away was uh, my drive for sex was really a drive for self-esteem. Yeah. Because the way I was living, I didn't feel good about myself. And I could feel good about myself if a beautiful woman would go horizontal with me. So I was out there trying to get that recognition quite a lot because the self-esteem wouldn't last. I needed it again and again and again. So a lot of my sexual behavior was really attempting to uh, like shoot up self-esteem in a way. Yeah, and my it would run out quickly and I'd have to do it again and again and again. Yes. So it became an addiction in a way, not an addiction, but it was necessary because I felt so bad all the other time. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So you find this stuff out by just simply doing it. See, the beauty about the inventories, they produce answers that are not yours, which is great. So you do it, you put something in, and it goes through like a 4-column wash. And when it comes out, it's different than how it would have come out with you. And that's awesome.
Right.
Yeah. Because you definitely, our solutions are part of the problem in the beginning, definitely. So you start hearing a different solution and then you learn. Sometimes I listened to them and I shared it earlier that I didn't other times and I got results and I was taught. What taught me a lot was really emotional hangovers. I could not handle those things. When I did something that wasn't kosher, and I didn't wasn't
Right.
loaded, it was a drag to what because I would feel completely deflated for a day or 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that really taught me I don't want to do that behavior anymore because I can't stand this hangover of feeling I really put my foot up in my mouth. Yeah. So it wasn't virtue, a lot of it was pragmatism. I just couldn't take it because I was awake now. And when I did something stupid, I wasn't out to lunch. I felt it, and it was really fucking a drag. So I learned the hard way, but I learned nonetheless. So the inventories have been very helpful in so many ways. But for me, the biggest thing is to see what has defeated us by its manifestations. Yeah, so it says, we're going to look at our character flaws. Our character flaws may not have been produced by us. They were produced by this idea of self, and they have shown through us because we are we are the expression of what has us. Yeah. So the parasite has a life through our life. Yeah. Yeah. And it will tell you the truth. It will tell you about its resentments. It does. The head says, my resentments. That's truthful. You're listening to it and you believe it's you. When it says its resentments, you say they're my resentments. This is the bondage of self. This is what we want to sort of look at. Yeah. The self is telling the truth a lot of the time. I'm afraid, I'm this, I'm that. But we take it upon us as us. We say, oh, I'm afraid, where you may not be. Yeah. So we're really living a mental interpretation. We're like mimicking, instead of having a parrot mimic us, we're mimicking the parrot, so to speak. Yeah. That's
Yeah, well, I
humility.
know.
Hey, just now. Yeah.
Well, I know one thing that helped me is you pointed out. We read the third step prayer, and I've done that for years now. And there's that line: "Relieve me of the bondage of self." If a bonding agent is a glue, you pointed out that the glue is actually thought. Thought is the bonding agent of self to my being, to my
Yes.
spirit,
Yes.
and that's always been helpful because that allows me to think of self as other than me, and I don't know, a little clarity for the crew, for what it's worth.
Yeah. The problem resides in the head, and in the head, thoughts are the thing that's pretty much constantly playing is thoughts. And those thoughts have an agenda and some purpose that you may not be aware of, which is to reinforce the idea that you're this long-lasting, independent, separate thing. Yes, and that's what it does. And just, I mean, it really overdoes it. I mean, do you really need 70,000 thoughts to if you're a house painter, to do your job? No. But you may have 70,000 thoughts that day. They're there to reinforce this idea. Yeah, a lot of it. So yeah. All right, bro. Great to see you, man. You're forever in my heart, my friend.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Oh,
You and mine.
yeah, I'm very fond of Christian. Yes. Yeah.
Like a pet.
Yes, like a pet. Like I remember I showed you at Westminster Kennel Show and we came in second, but you were my winner. That's
Well,
how.
thank
All right, bro. Nice to see
you.
you.
All right. Good to see you, bro.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyone else? Or we're gonna start saying goodbye. See you.
No more hands.
All right, Mr. Cruz, as always, thank you for all the attention held. Catherine Fox, nice to see Catherine. Tom, our man in Kentucky, always a pleasure. Miak, nice to see you, honey. Diona, Matthew. Diona, you're growing every day. It's nice. Yeah, just stay. Yeah, yeah. Matthew, you and I, both sober. Fantastic. Martin, thank you so much, bro, for everything. Annette, as always, she's in the Syracuse area. You're in a good month to be there, June. Yeah, it's nice. Mickey, as always, our forever greeter. Roman Mueller, my main man. Nice to see you, Roman. Stephen Mack, having never left. Kathy Cleveland, she's our dictionary person. Very good. I have just loved the definition of abject as spiritless servility. That's just, I think it's that with the pitiful, incomprehensible demoralization are the clearest descriptions of life under self, so to speak. Yeah? Spiritless servility. That blows my mind. I should get a t-shirt with that. That would be good. Spiritless servility. The funny thing is, it's unsuspected in most cases. Yeah? It's unsuspected. We think it's just us. Yeah? And it gets so unbearable that we get to this weird polarity that I hate myself because we can't see that which that hates us is foreign to us. Yeah? So you get turned into a weird pretzel that you hate yourself or your own worst enemy. Come on. Yeah. But the head, you can't entertain the possibility it's not you. And the only way it's flagellating you all fucking day, the only way you can take it is of an extreme hate and a hate of you to you. Yeah. Wow. We need freedom from this shit. Yes, we do. And maybe what's going to happen before the freedom is understanding. We need to understand that there's something going on amongst all of us that doesn't have our best interest at heart. It has its best interest at heart. Yeah? It's almost as if it can't live, so it wants to live through us. Yeah? Wow. Yeah. This isn't about turning it off, it's losing interest in it. Yeah? It'll be like a radio station will keep playing, but you're never listening to it that much. You may hear some of the songs, but you never buy the commercials. Ever. You don't buy a fucking thing from it. Yeah. All right. So, Kathy, thank you. Leah, always a pleasure, Leah. You got a big life now, eh? Cool. Vista, Eric, nice to see you, bro.
You too. Losing interest in pretzels here.
Oh, good. Oliver in Berlin, always a pleasure to see you. Hey, listen, everyone, thank you so much.
Thanks,
This
Paul.
broadcast just doesn't stay in itself, right? This gets broadcasted. Yeah, just put it out, put it out. It takes, when you fling the seeds, you don't have to follow the trajectory of the seeds. You have faith. You just throw the seeds. Yeah. Come back a few years later, there's some fucking growth. It's cool. Yeah. Who can weigh or measure relief? You can't. It's truly relief from imaginary things. But imaginary things can seem real in the head a lot. So to have relief from imaginary things is awesome. Yeah. So let's actually start there. Eh? Let's start having relief from imaginary things. There's enough to deal with. All right, I'll see some people later. 4:30 Pacific time. We're here again. Thanks. You made my day. Thank you, everyone. And
Thank you.
see you soon.
Thanks, Paul.